Thank you so much for attending this talk about our research and the potential of Twitch for online learning and teaching today. So my name is Johanna Pirka and I will represent our research group or research team basically today from Alexander Steinmaurer and from Alexander Karakas. So we are all in different research group, but we shared the common passion of teaching in alternative ways during lockdown, let's put it that way. And actually, therefore, we all moved to have our lectures and our courses on Twitch. So what is Twitch? Twitch is actually a platform, an open platform, which is usually or originally designed for gamers so that they stream their gaming experiences. So people would host their own channels. Other people can follow them or subscribe. So subscribing would even involve a regular payment, and will then get regular updates about their streams. Most of the time it's gaming streams. However, there was a really interesting development during the pandemic, namely, and I mean it started already a little bit before, but there was a really boost during the pandemic, that Twitch was more and more used for all different sorts of streams outside of gaming. So this includes, for instance, music streams, event streams, and nowadays also science and tech streams, which involve, for instance, live coding, game development, physics education, chemistry laboratory experiments. And in our case, we hosted our lectures during the lockdowns and actually also afterwards during this weird and uncomfortable time of the pandemic. Yeah, well, Twitch is growing and growing. Like every platform related to games and games themselves, they had quite a boost during the lockdowns. And Twitch comes with interesting features because you can basically host a lecture, but there's a lot of interaction going on. So you have a live chat, you can add emotes, you can start polling and so on and so forth. So it's really designed that there is like one streaming broadcasting person and a lot of people are interacting. But we will talk about this in a minute and what does this actually mean for lectures. But basically our goal was, so since we already moved to Twitch for lecturing and then found out eventually that it was, let's put it that way, very different compared to traditional lecturing ideas such on WebEx or Zoom or on Big Blue Button or MS Teams, we thought it would be lovely if we can add our efforts of having those lectures anyway on Twitch and add relevant research goals to it. And we were very interested, since we already noticed while streaming that the interaction possibilities felt way different compared to the traditional real lectures and online lectures, that we wanted to evaluate those interaction possibilities, that we want to gain a little bit the insights from a learner's perspective. So ask our students how they felt when working with Twitch, discuss a little bit the strategies to, let's put it that way. Twitch is originally designed as a platform for an entirely different purpose and comes with issues such as toxic behavior, spam. So how can we fight that when adding like very serious content and educational content to the platform? And then of course we were interested in identifying different advantages, disadvantages, challenges compared to, on the one hand, traditional lectures, but especially also more traditional online formats. So this was a little bit the goal and the framework where I wanted to set our evaluations. So let me describe Twitch a little bit to you. So basically what you can see here, this is like the typical view a student would have, or viewer on Twitch would have. So you have this traditional screen where the lecture is held. So in my case, it's very similar to what you're seeing right here. So you have the pic, like me talking, and on the other side, you have my screen shared. I'm using the software OBS to stream and to record, for instance, in that case, also on Twitch. And the students and just general viewers can interact very like live with other viewers but also with the lecturer. So it's a very vivid discussion. The interesting thing about Twitch, though, its nature, Twitch nature is already very vivid. So if you look at any random chat on Twitch, you'll notice there's a lot of things going on, and there's a lot of things around building a community, helping each other, discussing elements, and yeah, quite interesting aspects. Here's also a screenshot of the other lecture. So again, we had those two different lectures. So my lecture was designed for game design and game development, whereas the other lecture was for freshmen in their to start computer science and programming. And here their lecture was in German. And what you can see here is actually the description. What is the purpose of this channel? What are the rules? What are how should you behave in the channels? What is going on and so forth. So let me introduce to you a little bit the two different lectures. So I really want to point out, you can find all the details in the paper. I just want to give you a little bit of an overview of what we've done. So again, I was teaching game design courses for students who already have at least a bachelor degree in computer science. So they're in their masters of computer science. Whereas Programming 101 is a programming course for bachelor students in computer science. In my course, to the date when we were evaluating, I had 113 registered students. Programming 101 is a really big course, again in the starting phase, with 820 courses. And the survey participants, which the coming results are based on, were 25% and 269. The average age for the programming students is a little bit younger, with 22-ish, whereas at the game design, again, they're already in the master, is 25-ish. So the interesting thing you have to consider here, that the game design students have experienced real-world lectures, whereas the Programming 101 students might have not experienced any real-life lecture before, which is a very sad consideration actually. And so basically what we did, at the end of our lecture, we had the lectures regularly once a week. So again, two entirely different courses with a different purpose. I would say the game design course, you would expect even it's a little bit more likely in this Twitch environment, because Twitch itself is all around games, game development, and so a lot of people are already interested in this sort of topic. Whereas Programming 101, however, is also a very interesting course for the community, because it gives you the insights without the necessity of any previous requirements. So we asked the students a little bit about their opinions. What were the advantages, disadvantages, limitations, issues they figured, and I just want to present the most relevant results to you now. So on the one hand, one major advantage was that students were very interactive. So this interactive nature of Twitch is something which is very different compared to traditional WebEx classes and so on and so forth, because the viewers really participate in the discussion. They would write with the lecturer, they would write with each other, they would give each other hints, add links, add comments, and just a very interesting discussion happens next to the lecture. I'll constantly read while lecturing. I would constantly read the chat, not loud, and then try to answer questions if they come up immediately, which is a very different atmosphere compared to a real atmosphere where they would have to ask if they can ask a question. So you have this live synchronous interaction. And yeah, this makes a very vivid, interesting experience, which I personally did enjoy and then tried also to bring into WebEx versions and so on and so forth. So what I did, for instance, I would also constantly interact with the students and ask, hey, have you already experienced in blah, blah, blah? If yes, write the 1 in the chat. If no, write the 0, or write a sentence to your experiences. And all of a sudden there would be already quite a lot of interaction going on. Um, Twitch also comes with the features that videos are recorded also and immediately put into like a little bit of an archive, which is available for 2 weeks without the channel being affiliated, and for 60 days if you're affiliated, which makes it very easy for both the students and the lecturer, because this doesn't mean this extra effort to upload something somewhere on YouTube, for instance, but that it's just available there, also with the comments in the chat. It's very usable. I mean, it's a like standard software, so it comes with a cool usability features. It works with on a web app. It works on a mobile phone. It comes with features such as polls. You can add integrations such as chatbots and so on and so forth. So it's quite flexible and gives you a lot of options. And as you can see in this study, it's relatively known to students. I mean, the game development students are a little bit more familiar with Twitch, but most of them are actually, or many of them are familiar with Twitch already, even though if they don't use it regularly. Drawbacks, since it's an open platform, it also comes with a lot of drawbacks. So for instance, again, it's a little bit like I can see the names of the students, which are like most of the time anonymous nicknames, but I don't have I don't know who are the persons eventually behind those nicknames. So it's a little bit like not as personal as it would be in a traditional lecture, which is of course a pity. There's no voice channel for students, but with workarounds such as Discord. So I always use Discord in combination with Twitch, for instance. Of course, there can be always connection troubles. It is less serious. Again, you're in the science and tech channel, but there are a lot of other less serious channels, more and more coming, which can be also distracting. Then if there are really hundreds of viewers, the chat can actually get distracting, and it's open to everyone. So there can be a lot of spam, can be trolls. So having moderators and having like a moderated chat is key. We ask some specific questions about the chat. So for instance, what they would use the chat for. And I was like, in my course, I was really really happy, because like not only students would come to the lecture, but also just general people who are interested in game development, which is super important to me, that we have this open format. And they were discussing with our game development students, with actual game developers who are in the chat. So they were chatting with viewers, they would ask viewers questions, and of course like the interaction with the lecturer. The chat was definitely one of the key features. We all had the feeling that actually students were asking way more questions compared to traditional lectures. And also from my experience, my Twitch lecture was usually way longer compared to a traditional lecture, because we had just had so many discussion points. There are a lot of this discussion points which you can find of the paper, which I cannot tackle all of them now. But things like harassment and toxicity are definitely an issue which need to be handled through helping bots and moderators. And also it's interesting to find the right level of formality, as again, it's a less formal platform maybe compared to other platforms. To summarize, what were the main challenges? Again, like harmful bots and spam. We recommend moderation and own chatbots. Interactions, so that viewers are engaged. So for instance, by polls or like asking questions. I also integrated like Q&A sessions directly in Discord additionally. The colleagues were using external poll tools to keep the students engaged. Of course, technical issues. So I really tried to get like a professional streaming setup for that, with with the software, but also hardware such as light and a good camera, and the stream organization itself. Like that you have a good plan and that you have an agenda and that all of the rules and all the guidelines are actually on the site. Yeah, well, if you have any questions, please reach out to us. So again, for me, I took care of the game development lectures, and both Alexanders were taking care of the programming 101 lectures. And here's also the link to our paper. Thank you so much for listening.